Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. EPSON printers that have cartridges that ride on the printed assembly, they all have internal waste ink pads. They do not have user replaceable maintenance cartridges or waste ink cartridges. So these sponges will continue to absorb ink, and at some point, unless you know how to reset the counters and how to divert that ink being generated to an outside bottle or other container, your printer will eventually be rendered useless. So you need to know how to reset these counters. Now there are several ways to do that. I've discussed this in the past, but the original method was to use the actual adjustment program. These are programs that are accessible to the technicians, if you will, and sometimes they find their way to us users. Now, if you happen to come across one of these adjustment programs, you have to utilize it a certain way. Now, today we don't even have to use this any longer. This is only if you're going to have a printer forever, just say, and you're going to encounter possibly several waste ink pad replacements or resets or whatever. You're going to need to have some way to reset those counters numerous times. Now, you could use the WIC tool, WIC tool, and pay, I believe it's $9.99 per reset. They provide you with a serial number that you enter into the tool. And it's quite simple, but let's go ahead and do it the way the professional would do it. And this is something that you have to do correctly, or your Windows computer, by the way, it's only available for Windows computers, may not see it as a compatible program. I'm going to walk you through exactly the instructions. And by the way, I have a video on YouTube showing you exactly how to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and quickly go through the process myself. Now, I just printed something quite nice on my R2000. And it's amazing how beautiful the results are on that printer. Okay, this is of course using OEM inks. I get these cartridges still today relatively low cost. They used to be even super cheap before, because that printer, for whatever the reason, was being used by the direct-to-garment industry, and they ended up with a ton of these cartridges that they couldn't really use because direct-to-garment printing requires specific types of inks. So let's go ahead and jump right in, and I'll walk you through the process real quick. All right, so I have my folder here. This is what I have. When you guys get this from me, you will see this inside the CD. You will have to disable all your antiviral software, because basically these are system changing tools and they are seen as something that's going to interfere with your system files. And of course, it's going to reset the counters on the printer itself. So again, they are seen as bad entities when in reality they are not. The WIC tool or other available tools out there, including inkchip.net, provides the WIC tool itself, although in a more simplified manner. And I have videos that show you how to reset several EPSON printers. If you're interested, take a look at that. You have to do this correctly. So let's go ahead and open the folder. So this is the R2000 Engineers tool. And as you can see, by the way, you have to copy this to your desktop. And then if it is flagged, allow it. Give it permission to exist in your system. Nothing bad is going to happen. Now, in order to use this, you have to right click and run as an administrator, period. You have to do that. You will then arrive at this. This is what you will see. You accept it. And now, particular adjustment mode. Make sure you go, not this one, make sure you go to this mode, because this is for the service technician who's going to perform all sorts of operations on your printer after a major repair job. Okay, we do not need to do that. All we need to do is to reset our ink counters. Now, I have an external bottle attached to my R2000, so all of the ink is now being diverted to this bottle and not being dumped into the internal pads. I caught that very early on in the lifespan of that printer. When I first got it, I immediately installed the external ink bottle. And so I have reset that printer a couple of times already. and absolutely hardly any ink is actually living inside the internal pads. If anyone would ever take a look at that, they would say, wow, this printer is practically new. All right, particular adjustment mode, click on that. You will arrive at this window. Ignore everything here, okay? Everything here except for waste ink pad counter. Now, if you ever have a stubborn clog that requires a complete ink recharge, just like you perform when you initially install the printer, you can do that. But that wastes practically all of your ink in your cartridges. So let's go ahead and click on Waste Ink Pad Counter and OK. If you did not even get to this point, you got some sort of incompatibility indication. Something is wrong with your OS system. Okay, this works. As you see, I am running it on Windows 10, the very latest update. So you should not have any problems with this. Just make sure you disable any kind of antiviral protection that will immediately trigger this. It did when I copied it just an hour ago. So click OK, and then you'll arrive at this other window. We're going to click and select both counters. You have two waste ink counters. The main one, which collects ink that you generate when you are doing a cleaning cycle, and then the secondary one is when you print borderless and ink is being sprayed beyond the edges of the paper and it's being collected on sponges that live along the pathway. In other words, the platen, that shiny metal strip from right to left where the little transport rollers exist. So we're going to select those and check. You will get a counter value has been read properly. And right now, I mean, I'm practically only at 3% and 1% on the other. So we're going to go ahead and perform it regardless. Like I said, the adjustment programs give you infinite resets. It's not like the pay per reset type tools that are available, although they're very easy to use, almost dumb proof. So let's go ahead and click initialization. Please select parts. Oh, see, I made a mistake. Select those pads. And now click initialization. And you will see this when the OK button is clicked, initialization is done. Okay, now we have to turn the printer off and then back on. And back on. I have trouble seeing in the dark, folks. All right, so I am back. We'll let the printer boot up. And we will go ahead and read the pads again. So as soon as I stop hearing noises, we'll go ahead and proceed. The waste ink pad counter has been initialized properly. Turn on the printer and click the check button to check the waste ink counter values. We should be down to 0. Let's try that. All right, here we go. Check. And we're down to 0. And that's all there is to it, folks. Finish, and you are done. And quit. That's it. You see how easy that was? Actually, it's a lot more difficult than the Wick reset tool. Okay, that's very, very simple. And if you want to look at that, it's actually quite boring. It's so simple. Take a look at my inkchip.net series of videos and you will see what I'm talking about. Very, very easy to do. And if you're interested in going that route in order to just save the aggravation of having to learn this very intricate program, go ahead and click on my affiliate link and you can buy at a discount the serial keys that you will require to activate that reset. Okay? All right, so thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. And as always, happy printing, and in this case, happy resetting your printers. Again, remember, only the older EPSON printers can be reset in this manner. All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone.